Bueno, mi gente, welcome back to another episode of La Verdad podcast, and this is your host, Christian.
Joined by VFig, as always.
So I always say this joke in every podcast, and people are probably, those that listen to the podcast every week are probably like, damn, dude, you say it every single time. And that's that you might see me with the same shirt twice in 2 episodes in a row. It's because we record 2 in one day.
Yeah.
I did bring a shirt, and I forgot to change into the different shirt. And then I thought about it. I'm like, well, Vanessa's going to have the same one, so it's going to really make her look bad if I change it to a shirt a year or not. How you been, VFig?
I've been good. I've been busy, but I've been good.
Yeah, busy with, I know that you mentioned in the last podcast, your new promotion, your new position.
Yeah.
That's always a big challenge, right? When you're trying to take on a new task, but you're still trying to close off the other one.
It is, yeah. I mean, so the good news is, I was promoted, but bad news, there's been a lot of just transitions overall throughout the organization. So I'm still kind of working my other job.
Yeah.
A lot longer than I anticipated, unfortunately. But that's the good news, is that it'll eventually stop and I'll have my time back to myself where I can focus on this job.
Or you think, right?
No. I'm ready to hand it all off to new people coming in. This is your job now.
So I brought that up because obviously our guest here with us today, you probably don't recognize them, those that are watching the podcast, can kind of relate to what we're talking about when it comes down to the job force, to promotions, to getting to job hunting. So we have with us today David Gloria, who is part of NextGen LatinX. How you been, man?
Muchas gracias, both of you, Christian and Vanessa, for having me here today. It's an honor to be here, and whatever I can display, and showcase what NextGen LatinX is doing. Mm-hmm. We're a growing organization based here in Chicago by young Latino professionals for young Latino professionals. So really excited to display what we're trying to do and accomplish, and any career development insights I can give to your membership, I would love to right now.
Yeah.
So before we continue on the podcast, I do want to plug the event that you guys have coming up. Mm-hmm. Usually I like to do it in the beginning of the show, just in case somebody goes and looks at another video on Facebook
right now.
So NextGen LatinX, which is the organization that he's here to talk about, they're having an event on Saturday, August 18th from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. is the summer networking event at Prism.
That's correct.
So go on Facebook right now if you have the app open or your phone next to you. Go ahead and search for NextGen LatinX, and you'll see the event on Facebook. Any other links that you could provide that they could find it at?
So you can find it primarily on Facebook. That's where we're really having success with our members, promoting opportunities and information, quick messenger communication. It's free, right? We don't have large funds, and we're starting off, so that's where we're gathering our community where they're at, Facebook. You can also just go straight to Eventbrite, NextGen LatinX, Summer Networking Social, and we're building out a website too, www.nextgenlatinx.com. And there it's again, like all community team volunteer efforts that we have a team now close to, I think 12 people almost, on and off different projects. So it's phenomenal. It's a team effort, and again for our peers.
Yeah.
So if we could break down what NextGen LatinX is. I always tell people, give me your elevator pitch, right, real quick. If you could just tell our audience,
of course,
the quick elevator pitch of
what NextGen LatinX is. Really, we're building to become the go-to digital platform and resource for career development for all Latino young professionals. Bottom line.
Awesome.
That's what we're
that
going
was
for.
straight to the point. Yeah.
Now, we were just talking about this earlier. You're a DePaul graduate.
Proud Blue Demon.
Yeah.
So it's like literally, if anyone is going or thinking about DePaul University or is at DePaul University, and I did business management, graduated in class of 2013. And my whole story, if you allow me to get into it, it's like, no sabía lo que estaba haciendo. Like, I was lost. And it wasn't until really my senior year where I chose business management as my major because I failed at everything else. Accounting was difficult. I just got past
But you're supposed to. That's how you grow.
Yeah,
right?
and finance was not for me either. Marketing, I'm not that creative. And I was just like, I was running out of business majors. And then it was like, literally, my counselor was just like, well, you've taken a lot of HR or human like that aspect, psychology classes, but that are business. I'm like, so you can major in business management. I'm like, pues para graduarme, that's what I went for.
It's funny that you mentioned that it's kind of like your senior year that you kind of decided what your major was going to be. I always tell a lot of people when I mentor them, younger people that are going into college, to perhaps wait a little bit longer to decide your major. Will you say the same thing?
Yeah, I entered freshman year economics. That sounded so professional.
Yo, I started with theology.
I started in
And
biology.
Yeah, and so it's but I love it. I would say if you're gonna declare. You know,
Why
it's
not?
like that's your self confidence in yourself. Where I'm going to do this, I'm gonna be this, and you're reaching high. You still have a large sense of idealistic passion, which is great. Don't ever lose that sense. Or it stems from when you were a little child. You know, it's like quiero ser doctor, dentista, abogado, ingeniero. Do that. And again, as you sort of mature, keep an open mind where go for your end goal. But if your mind personality changes, influences, mentors, follow that too.
Exactly. And I think that's what happened to me too. Like I went into school in my first semester. I was declared as a theology major. And I wanted to become a priest, man. But like, yeah.
He wanted to do it.
And then I was like, yo, you know what? Like, I started getting interest in other, especially in learning about Puerto Rico and really getting into the culture. And I was real big in music, so I ended up doing music as my major. But I feel like I was like a late bloomer because even after college, like that's when I kind of decided what I really wanted to do and what was more of a hobby, what was more of my career. So my career didn't come to like later in life.
Christian, that's why NextGen LatinX is being built. Because even if you go to university or college and you think you have it, you graduate an associate's, bachelor's, master's, and then what?
Yeah. That's
There's
the
no
question.
other step.
Like, what do I
Then
do now?
what?
Especially within our community, right? Let's talk a little bit more about that. Within the Latino community, a lot of things are taboo or they don't talk about it, right? Like you don't talk about your employment. I don't know about you, but like for me growing
Employment,
up,
salary, what's your
money you
next
don't talk
move?
about,
What's your
right?
next move?
You don't talk about it because I don't want to let them know what I'm trying to do.
This company's going to get you a lot of money, so why tell Christian because I want it?
All the time.
No.
And also another stigma I've noticed, especially within the people that I grew up with or the community that I grew up with, was that you stay loyal to one employer for many years, 30, 40 years.
That's how it's been, correct.
And then the potential of growing sometimes get lost. Sometimes it doesn't. You know, don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. But I like what you guys are doing, and if you could elaborate more on how you will do it, of getting people into the workforce after graduating.
So after graduating, it's where it has to start even before then. So that's why NextGen LatinX is focused more heavily on young professionals. So right when you have that bachelor's or associates and you're focusing on work, but also with rising university students, because that's our pipeline towards young professionals. So by rising university student, I mean juniors and seniors. Okay. Because first year and sophomore, you're still, I'm going to be an economics major, but we know you're not going to do it. Right. So juniors and seniors are really where we like to tap into. That's where you can first become part of our ecosystem. You can be younger. It's like we're not, but that's like our focus. Why? Because that way you're going to be able to tap into the resources we're giving seniors or young professionals that are just, 1 to 5, 6, 7 years out of university. And it's going to make more sense, right? If I tell you too much before you're ready for it, it's not going to help you. So really it has to begin in your junior and senior year. And this has become is your resume up to par? Everyone listening, are you on LinkedIn? If you're not, create a free LinkedIn account. If you don't know what LinkedIn is, please Google it. It's a phenomenal, the world's best professional networking site. And from there you have to, and that's where NextGen is really also going for professional development and the resources. Where our stretch goal and what we're becoming is identify, not just across Chicago, but nationally, young voices that can really become coaches, that are coaches, that can say, here's my personal testament. I'm not focusing too much on myself, but with a few themes, this is where I'm going to write an article, blog, or actual relevant, professional resource for others. There's a lot of why NextGen, right? And it's because how can we help them? We really have to get our members, our community members, job ready. So that's the thing. You can have your bachelor's, but if we need to work on your resume, if you aren't marketing yourself as best as you can, if you're not on LinkedIn, if you don't know what a follow-up is, if you can't conduct an in-person interview, an informational interview over the call, if you're not ambitious, if you're too timid, this is where we have to move beyond that. College doesn't teach you this.
No, it does not. I think, I had the benefit of being part of an organization, and I talk about it a lot in the podcast, a fraternal organization where I had other members, older members who were perhaps in management or they were HR coordinators or whatnot. So they helped me with my resume writing. They helped me with developing, because I think you know, I was like 20 years old. I didn't know what a cover letter was, right? Little simple things like that.
I don't like those.
Back in my day, I hate those.
Too.
Back in my day, like when you would go apply, you know, for a basic startup job, it was mostly just doing it all online. You didn't even have to put in a resume. So I remember going for my first job interview. I didn't have resumes in my hand, you know, little things like, you know, don't wear earrings to your resume. I didn't know until later on that I had those mentors that took me on, and you know, they're a little bit more rough with me. You know, they're like, dude, what are you doing?
I'll tell you how it is.
You're looking ghetto at an interview and whatnot. But
why do you think I shade for this?
I keep it right. It's part of my image. I learned a lot, and now I think it's my job, right, to teach those that are younger to do that as well. What happened with you that made you want to do this? Because I feel like everyone has a story behind.
And I really want to, you know, make it personal. So she's not in the shot right now, but it's really my little one.
Okay.
So and it's something that I keep private, but that's my why.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so Bella, she's off camera right here, looking at a movie, and she's gonna be 5 in about 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you know, when I'm not with her, it's, you know, I just see other individuals as, you know, Bellas. They're other people's Bellas.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I'm from Joliet, Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been always a lot of need in Joliet and a large Latino community, where a lot of communities like Joliet experience a brain drain. They don't, they don't offer the best living or the best opportunities for young people to succeed or make a better living than their parents. So we're all looking for that better life. That's why we go to university, why we push ourselves and go into debt or move away from home. So we can say, look, ma, pa, ya lo hice.
Yeah.
I'll pay your bill.
Yeah.
You know, that's as Latinos, we have that.
Right.
And, you know, that's my thing too, to help my family. But I've been very blessed where I finished DePaul $50,000 in debt. All right. You might see me as like, oh, this guy's a genius, partially, but $50,000 in debt. Why do I say that? That's a reality, right? The median's around 25 to 30K. All right. I'm way above that.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of people in DePaul. Hopefully you got the grants and scholarships too. Even I got that too.
Don't worry, Keishla.
And I was in RA for
like,
3 years to cover the free housing. But part of that also why it racked up is I was financially illiterate. I was just like, oh, it's like, so here was the thing. It was like my refund check was a little bit higher than it should have.
Yeah.
And that's,
I didn't get those.
No, and that's where now it's like, I was like, wow, I have a lot of money.
Yeah.
And that's where it was a little bit like difficult. Now I'm paying it back. Financial literacy. So again, college is a business for, you know, for people. Just make sure you approach it smartly. So why? It's because there's a lot of, and I'm looking at this nationally, there's, you know, a lot of Latino-centric organizations, Hispanic Scholarship Fund, I won't mention a lot of them, but, you know, there's a lot of them, especially in California and Texas and here in Chicago and New York, that are focusing on promoting our young community to go to college, to access higher education in the millions of dollar, you know, plus efforts. But then tell me right now on the spot, who's focusing on once they graduate?
Yeah, you really can't find it.
And not just in Chicago, but somewhere else. Yeah. I'm sure if we Google extensively, we'll find some organizations, and there are some out there. But even then, they're not strictly marketing and accessing or even being a voice towards young Latino professionals. It's just not. And it's mind-boggling and really frustrating, Verdad? Te digo la verdad. It's frustrating where there's in New York, there's companies and startups that are getting millions and millions of dollars in funding, but they're not for Latinos. Their founders are Caucasian.
Yeah.
Their members, they're young professionals, they're call them Henrys, yuppies, whatever it may be, young individuals that have already a leg up in society, making all these, you know, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 plus jobs out of school because they know how to get those high paying jobs. They have those connections. And then they have further startups that are helping them make sure they stay on top of their careers. And statistically, 1% of like all venture capitalist money is going towards minority entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Right.
So again, where's our voice? We don't have one.
Yep.
So yes, you can go from an Ivy League school to a top caliber institution around the Midwest or anywhere else, and you can have the perfect GPA, you can have the perfect headshot photo, but if you don't have like everything else and even part of a cohort or a community that can help you, you're only going to get so far. And even there's a few that make it to the very top, And then I see that becomes a theme. Let's say you're an executive or you become a young associate at a top financial company on Wall Street. That's great. You're making anywhere from 80K to more. But then that's it. You're one out of millions.
Yeah.
And what are you doing? You're just focusing on yourself.
Yes.
So with NextGen LatinX is to bring that, again, a collective of young Latino professionals so we can share resources. I don't know everything. That's why I have a team. And I'm like, look, this is our mission and passion and vision. That's why together we're helping out. I don't know everything, but together it's like, hey, Christian has this resource. Vanessa has this resource. Where can we collectively pool this? So maybe, I'm not in engineering.
Team of experts.
Engineering careers aren't my interest, but if they come across from me, it's like, wow, wouldn't I love to have somewhere where I can promote this?
Yeah, big time.
And someone else can take advantage. That makes me feel better. That helps someone else feel better. And it's like that hope. In our young individuals right now, like us, we need hope, especially in our like messed up political climate that it is. And that's like my kind word of describing it. That's really, that's why also NextGen LatinX is we can wait for the perfect moment. We don't have any capital. We don't have anyone like fully backing us up at this point. We'd love to. Sponsors out there, pay attention. NextGenLatinX.com. And so, but this is like, if we don't start something, nothing is ever going to move us forward. So that's my personal mantra is I want to be seen as a young Latino entrepreneur. And that only came into mind like literally a few months ago. And why? It's because it was like, this is what's needed. No es fácil. I have to build out yes, I have everything under control. I don't. Right? Every day it's like, if I'm not a self-starter, if I'm not setting my own goals, if I'm not saying this is going to be my event, this is going to be on this date at this location, all this, if we don't do it as a team, no one else is really, looking out for us.
Right.
So I don't know, like keep me on track, you two, on to what you need from me to make this like as most impactful as possible.
Yeah, definitely. I back to what you were mentioning, the why of why you're doing NextGen LatinX. I resonate a lot with it because, I have my little one too. And I remember the way we started La Verdad, for those who probably are watching the podcast for the first time, it was to make socially conscious T-shirts. It was me and another guy that were single dads, and we were trying to make some extra cash on the side to support.
That's how it is. It's hard.
Support our kid, right? And then it was just like it was this idea of like doing these T-shirts and having our own T-shirt company to get a little extra money in our pockets, and then eventually it turned into this whole thing of completely different from when we started out. I mean, we still do the T-shirts, but that drive is still with us, right? And I think you mentioned too that. Having the desire that our kids should do better than we did when it comes down to financially.
And even not wait till your kids, like my younger siblings, right?
Exactly.
Those so I'm 5 years out of DePaul, but those that, that are entering DePaul didn't prepare me to become a business professional, even going to business school. I still felt, I graduated after 4 years and I didn't know how to use Excel. That's kind of like, that's bad. So it's not until I got to JP Morgan that I was like, what's Excel? And I had to really learn it hands-on. So I think it's just, again, wait, even if it's the next generation, 1 year younger, right? 2 years younger. So it's like, make that impact as quickly as possible. Exactly. So NextGen LatinX is really, its focus is to become a scalable technological company. And it's a media company where, we're amassing interest, first off, members, showing value, all free. We do charge for the ticket events because it's like venues are expensive here in Chicago. Right. But we're not letting anything, come in between us. So the thing is, what we're trying to do is scale up as quickly as possible, but as best as possible. So we can really encapsulate, Chicagoland area as our home. And from there, keep moving on forward. So one of our graphic designers, he's actually based out in Indiana, who's, volunteering her awesome talents and, working with us on that. So it's like we're identifying individuals not only and we've been selective with the Facebook group. I will mention that. We're at 555, I believe, and we launched a year ago, but I've been purposefully, very specific on who I let in. And I review everyone's Facebook profile. And if you have photos that a recruiter wouldn't like, I don't like them either. So it's quality versus quantity, right? Because that's like where our value comes from, where now we're creating our networking events to say, this is how you can connect with like-minded young Latinos like yourself, where that's sometimes hard, right? You have those ecosystems at, Greek life or at university. You graduate, you have an even smaller pocket of friends, but then as everyone starts getting older, has their own, life, your life's just, you just don't interact anymore. It's like, you have your family, your significant other, yourself, your career. So how do you reconnect, and not just with old friends? How do you continuously push your own mindset with peers? It's through NextGen LatinX events where, right, you tell me, who your 5 closest friends are, I'll tell you who you are. Right. It's like a saying, right?
Yep,
And so again, going back to your earrings, right? If everyone in your group has earrings, that means nothing to me, right, Christian? But if you dig down a little bit more, it's like, Christian, who are you hanging out with, right? Malos que hablan y hablan y hablan y hablan y hablan. I'm just kidding. And so, but again, that makes, like your influence. So what I also see, again, since I graduated and while I was a resident advisor at DePaul, is that, again, you need to connect yourself, the younger you are and the earlier, with individuals that are either at your level or way above. And you're not going to get that sticking to traditional methods. NextGen LatinX is creating those ecosystems and events tangibly, within access, that you can do this. And it's just for bettering yourself, making new connections. And think about it for a second. Putting yourself in a room with individuals that identify strictly, or most of them, as Latinos, young Latinos. From there, they get it. They get the life struggles. They get a lot of things without even you have to speak a word. So that way it breaks the ice in itself. So you can just go, Vanessa, Christian, like right away. It's like we can talk in a whole, the fact that we're still talking and we haven't run out of topic points is because we just get it, right? And so whether it's, and again, just based on whether you're looking for connections, business leads, just friends. So it's going to be our 4th event. And the first 3 I track on Facebook where certain individuals are liking each other's comments or status updates. And I know for a fact, 100%, because these are very different people, but very alike, that I see it's like, so-and-so, Christian is liking Vanessa's status. And I know they connected because they were at our NextGen social. And so that's the value right there where, you two can create whatever. Es más como hacer amistades. Right? Porque así es, because when you go to traditional networking events, they don't really work. And it really doesn't benefit a young Latino. Why? Because most individuals are a lot older than us, and they're looking for either business leads, clients, boring, contracts. That's just how it is. And it's typically in a venue that's geared towards an older crowd.
Se presta for what you.
They'll talk to you nicely, Christian. Here's my card. I'd love to help you. That's it. You'll never hear from this individual ever again. And if you do, I'm really busy. Send me some availability for the end of the month. And you, as a ambitious young individual, you're going to follow up. You're going to do everything. And you're going to be hopeful that this señor or señora reaches back out to you. It's because they work at my dream company. They have their own business. They're a dentist, and I want to be a dentist. And you're going and going, and at the end, ¿qué pasa? I mean, sure, there's a lot of people willing to help. But even then, even those that are willing to help, they already have their families. They already have their business. Their job demands a lot. So from them to take on mentorship, it's really, really difficult, even if they really, really want to. So that's where our generation, we're very talented. We can help each other out in a lot of ways. Coming together is how we advance collectively. So NextGen LatinX on our Facebook, we publish job leads, but also strictly any Latino-centric or young professional development opportunities around Chicagoland area. So if we see something, again, boom, here's our audience. So so others can at least say, I wish I would have known that sooner. So if you see an important event, you're just like, I missed it. It's like, if I would have known. It happens to us a lot. And so NextGen LatinX is really to have a collective, force together where we're making sure no one misses any great opportunity, especially with professional development.
Right.
If you don't have that professional development mindset, it's not the most sexiest topic to talk about, especially towards Latino. But here's my thing, where I see it on Facebook all the time is, our peers, they're getting their best suits, their best dresses. They got it already up for Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, and they're going out. They're having a great time. They love music. They love drinks. They love to dance. They love to, be in a high energy environment. And then those two nights go by. They go to misa on Sundays, hopefully some. Christians there preparándolos. And so then, Monday you go back to work.
Right.
And then it repeats.
The same routine.
Exactly. So that's where NextGen LatinX is like, we're looking at our peers and saying, that's great. So how can we, do what our members love, musica, dance, community, but add that professional aspect because if we don't, you're not going to receive it.
Right.
And if you're not thinking about it now, or even just changing the way you're thinking about your career, you're going to stay in retail your whole life. You're going to stay at that dentist office as, or I'm not saying that we don't have great jobs, but we're not going to advance at a quick enough pace as we can and as we should. There's by Deloitte Millennial Survey, it's come out for the last like handful of years by, I think it's like 2025 or so. Fact check me, as they say. In the next few years, 75% of the total workforce are going to be millennials. That's us. That's like our listeners primarily. So I don't want Latinos to just be entry-level admin, reception, coordinator roles. That's good if you're out of, in school or out of school. But I want us to take on those opportunities that are being created right now as the baby boomers in the older generation are retiring. Others are going up. No nomás quiero que sean los güeros. I want Latinos to take on those opportunities. And so how do you take on those opportunities? You have to be ready yourself. You have to be continuously be focused on that. Not even like every day it could be, but at least like, hey, I'm bettering my career, or I'm plugged into a community that can help me. And even if you don't know these jobs that exist, then you're not even in the running.
Exactly. And I want to mention again, if you're interested, if someone's interested in getting more information for NextGen LatinX, where can they find you, or where can they find more information?
As we're building, the go-to right now is on Facebook. So hopefully you are on Facebook, and it's at NextGen LatinX. And there you're going to see a Facebook group that, again, it's the bin that's we asked 3 questions. Are you a university student, young professional? What organizations are you currently involved with, and what are you looking for? And so that's like a quick, easy, the best way to plug in. And most of our members are looking for 3 things. I would say like 90%. They're looking for job leads because it's very hard and boring to go on Google and type in
job.
Or Indeed,
LinkedIn, Monster, Career Builder, and a lot of these aren't being as like forward. It just makes it boring. I'll tell you. So I spend a lot of time on the app LinkedIn Jobs. That's probably my number one that I recommend. But even then, LinkedIn Jobs, it connects to your LinkedIn profile. It's really cool. It's just exhausting. So NextGen LatinX, what we're going to do and what we're scaling up our team to do is we do the job searching for you. We review the companies and eventually create those company partnerships where we're just delivering it to you, whether it's via Facebook, email, that, hey, here's our short list of jobs. They're within the years of experience, because a lot of them you're saying like, wow, here's something at the Field Museum or the Art Institute or
so
JP Morgan, but you open the job description, right, and it's like 5 to 8 years of experience.
2 masters and
exactly, right? It's like the 2020. It's like, I just graduated, but you want all this from me and pay me around 35 to 45K. No, so NextGen is really, it's like, and I don't want to be taboo, right? I've worked in recruiting and talent acquisition and nonprofits at all over the place. So that's also with my career. I've jumped around a lot. This is now going 5 years out of university, and then I'm going to work at my 6th company.
Wow.
So do the math. So loyalty for me is to myself. Right. And I think it's like, as Latinos, we're like, I have to prove myself. I have to prove myself. Maybe it works for you and have success. But the moment your employer, your company isn't giving you the culture you want, the salary you want, the role, the growth, leave them. Just leave them, because it's like, that's what I've done for myself. And it's like, it's to your advantage. The first few years that you graduate, it's your exploration phase. Hey, I want to do finance, but it's not for me anymore. And then you have that flexibility. And so this is going to be my 6th company, and every time I've been growing and pushing myself. And that can go in terms of job title, the role, the responsibilities, who I'm interacting with, salary, office views. So now,
or the culture as well.
Culture's big.
I've learned a lot too. I've jumped into different fields, different careers, and right now I feel like I found my actual, what I love, what I like to do. So I work within the IT, sector. And one of the things that was really hard for me to understand was this whole working from home aspect, right? Because as Latinos, usually when you tell your family that you're working from home, they're like, what
really
job
working.
do you have? So things like NextGen LatinX, where there's other individuals that perhaps have the same type of job or work from home as well, I think adds a big value to that, right? To be able to be
Yes.
part of that, because I'm able to ask them questions on how do they get themselves so disciplined to actually work when you're working from home. Little things that I didn't have 3 years ago when I first started working from home. And within that, the career as well of IT, there's not a lot of Latinos out there that are in the management or are in the upper management or executive level of these companies. It's mostly, like you said, widows. So to me, being able to build that and having this and waking up this sleeping giant that we know of the Latino community, I think is a big plus and a big it's in real big need here in the Latino community.
Exactly.
So I want to thank you for coming by. I know we're keeping it kind of short and sweet.
Yeah.
I'm going to put the links to the event on the description of this podcast. Also, we will be sharing the flyer on our social media all over. We have our Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You can find us at La Verdad LTD. I definitely want to push the flyer out there so that people can go ahead and show up to the event and actually inquire more of what NextGen LatinX is all about. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Do you have any personal social media handles that you want to plug out there or anything that you want?
Oh, it's not like if I've done any, modeling with here in Chicago, but of course, but these better be like actually on top. No, so yeah, it's like, so myself, I'm very accessible, and that's what I try to be, and especially as like a founder of a startup and organization, I want to be very accessible. So on Facebook, the first name David, last name Gloria, and also I on LinkedIn, actually, I would stress that more than Facebook also in Myriad. So just David, Gloria on LinkedIn, Facebook, and then just on Instagram would be the final one at David.Gloria. So you can't miss it. It's a pretty common, unique name. And then so back to your theology reference, like Gloria, it's like you really can't miss that. So
two theological names, huh? Right there.
Exactly. So
well, thank you once again, VFig. Thank you.
Yeah.
And for those of you guys that please like, share, subscribe. Push this video out there so other people can get to know what NextGen LatinX is doing. Peace and God bless.